Hi all. This video is going to be a bit different. I was watching a friend of mine who runs a big YouTube channel talking about why you might want to start a YouTube channel. And it occurred to me that I've seen lots of advice, most of it good, on how to go about building YouTube channels from people with thousands of views. Who've been running channels for years, who've got all the experience. I realised what I've never seen is anybody actually doing it, actually building a new YouTube channel. I thought it might be interesting to make some videos following actually building the channel and how it goes. This might be a complete disaster. In 2 months, 3 months time, I might have next to no views, next to no followers. On the other hand, I might have a big YouTube channel. So this is basically a diary of me building a YouTube channel, and you get to see what happens week by week, whether things work, whether things don't, all of that stuff. I'm not offering advice on how to build a channel. I'm just showing you what I did. I didn't set out to create a YouTube channel. I think it's 3 years ago now, I saw an advert on YouTube for somebody who said they were interested in new writers for a magazine, Practical Sailor. I thought, why not? Let's have a go. So I did a trial piece, I sent it in, they liked it, and I started writing for that magazine reasonably regularly. Having written articles for a while, I thought, well, why not have a try at writing a book? So I wrote a book on restoring sailboats. Once I'd got that written, and I realised that, writing the book is only step one, you've then got to publish it and sell it. And that's as much work as writing the book in the first place. Talking to people who had self-published, the general advice was the best way to get your book out there and known is to put it on YouTube. So start a YouTube channel. That's where this came from. So I thought, okay, let's have a go. So I started the channel about 2 weeks ago. It's very early days. I've got 5 subscribers. I've had about 60 views. The algorithm seems to be picking it up, and the initial look seems quite good. I'm going to share the equipment I use. I'm also going to share the stats that I see on my screen and how I put videos together. I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. I'm just saying this is what I do. And if you're interested in following it, there will be fairly regular updates.
Okay, this is the camera I use. It does look pretty sophisticated. That's because it is. It's a Pentax KX2, and the lens you probably can't see, but it's a super wide angle 24 to 12 mil, I think. 24 to 12. A wide angle lens is definitely very useful. I use this because I've got it, not because I particularly need it. You don't need this sort of camera to do a YouTube channel. But if you've got one, it's the ideal thing to use. Gives you a bit more versatility. What is really important is you notice that is a pretty robust tripod. And actually I find the tripod is more important than the camera. You can film it on a mobile phone. That's what I'm doing at the moment. What you don't want is to have a fairly flimsy tripod so that if I walk towards it, it would move. I had a little lightweight tripod. I tried the camera on it. I found that every time I moved around the room, you could see the vibration. And that was definitely spoiling the videos. So I say, if you're thinking of spending a bit of money, I would say spend it on the tripod rather than the camera. The next thing that I realised was that the quality of audio I was getting off the camera was pretty bad. That was partly because I was doing filming in a workshop, so it was quite noisy and I was quite far away from the camera. But I would say the first thing you want to get is a remote microphone. The next thing people think about is lighting, and that's probably a good thing. So yeah, if you've got natural daylight, if you've got sunlight coming through a window, you can probably arrange something that gives you decent lighting without using any lights. I'm filming in the workshop. There is nowhere near enough light. I needed some extra. So I got these LED panel lights. They're 200 watt lights. Not quite sure whether that's equivalent or actual. I think it's equivalent. But anyway, they're decent sized panel lights. They certainly give you a lot of light. What they also give you is quite a harsh light. That means it's directional. It creates lots of shadows. So what I did was I mounted them on this stand, which I already had. It was made for a couple of work lights. The panel lights fitted it on. It's got this handle at the top, which made it very easy to attach this, which is a standard photographic white umbrella. If I look around the other side, that's what it looks like. The good thing about this is because it's about 3 feet across, it gives you quite a soft light source, so you don't get the harsh shadows. And it worked really well. So not particularly expensive. I think the lights cost me about $40 as a pair. You can buy really expensive ones, but you don't need to. Just to give you an idea of what these lights are like, this is just my dining table. Sorry, breakfast things are still out, I think. But that's taken with natural daylight coming in through the window. If I turn the lights on, you can see how much difference it makes. So it means you can fill in light. If I just use the light coming through the window, it's quite directional, only lights on one side. The lights from those LED panels, they fill in the shadows and give you nice soft lighting. You can see the two blend really well together. Just to give you an idea of how bright these lights are. They're bright. Another thing which I find quite useful for lighting is one of these. This is just one of those fold-up photographic reflectors. It came with a kit of other stuff, so I'm not sure how much they cost on their own, but they're not super expensive. It's a very reflective panel, so if you need to fill in a few shadows, you can stick it on a little cheap tripod and direct some light. So that's another way of getting shadow lights filled in and giving you a bit better lighting. If you're doing a static video like a talking head, I think it's well worth sorting out the lighting and setting it up so that it looks nice. Okay, welcome to my den. This is the other half of what you need in order to do YouTube videos. You need to compile the video, and that takes a computer. What I've got, again, because it's what I already had, my previous career involved a lot of teaching, and particularly during COVID, I was teaching online. So I've got a twin screen set up with, you can just about see it down there, with a decent sized desktop computer. You can do YouTube videos on a decent laptop. One thing you will find is that if you're using Windows, software can be quite expensive. The system I use is Linux Mint. That's free software. It also means that I can use Shotcut for my video editing, which is what's on the screen at the moment. And again, that's free open source software. It works great. I would say definitely go for the open source software. It will save you a ton of time and a ton of money. But what you do need is a reasonably fast computer. I've been quite surprised at how much memory videos take. Things like camera batteries going flat, camera cards that you plug in, something that would take 1,000 stills lasts about 15 minutes for video. So some of the little things I found was that I needed to get some bigger discs to plug into the camera to store the videos on. And even on this computer, which is 16 megabyte RAM, and I can't remember what the processor is, but it's a lot faster than the average laptop. It still takes about 20 minutes to compile a 10-minute video. If you're using a budget laptop, it's probably going to take you a couple of hours to compile your videos.
So that's all the gear, and I think you'll notice there was quite a lot of difference in the quality of the picture, depending on whether I was using the camera or the mobile phone. That was especially true with the shots of the computer. I think that was as much as anything because the light in this room was not very good. And finally, what you're seeing on the screen is my first couple of weeks analytics. So you can see there was a definite uptick in the first 24 hours. I think that was partly because I let people know that I was starting the channel, so they dropped in and watched some stuff. But this seems to be typical. You get a pickup initially, then it all goes quiet and you think, oh my god, nothing's happening. But then YouTube starts promoting it and your numbers start to go up. 63 is still very small numbers, but it's not doing bad for a very new channel. So, as I say, I will be back on a regular basis and let you know how things are going. See you next time.